Good morning. Let me make sure I've got this. Tammy, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right. For some reason, I'm not seeing my, oh, there it is. My microphone was way over on the right. They just moved that. Okay, well, we got a few minutes, so I got to get another meeting scheduled real quick here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Almost there. It looks like you're the only one on so far. That's unusual. I usually have a few other students join us by now. Yay, now. All right. Okay, well, we're 2 minutes away and we're the only ones on here, it looks like right now, from what I can see. Do you see anybody else on?
No, ma'am. It just says me and you.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. There's some others joining us, probably because I've just sent the link out. Man, I keep trying to get these things posted and, I just don't know what my deal is. I keep thinking I'm going to catch up and have all of the remaining meetings scheduled. That would be nice. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just struggling, trying to keep up with everything. We're having not only a lot of faculty, as I think we talked about in here. If not, then I'm letting you know for the first time. Sorry, but if I have talked about it before, then just bear with me or say, yep, we've already heard that. Okay. And that is that even our dean has sent out information saying that all faculty in the College of Business and Social Sciences, that's all of your business administration courses, all their disciplines are, but also all of the programs within School of Behavioral and Social Sciences, social work, criminal justice, psychology, and all of those courses are in the College of Business and Social Sciences, of course. So we've all been admonished to be considerate about the impact of the winter storm now 2 weeks ago, but nonetheless 2 weeks ago, has still continued ramifications. I just passed, looked like a flooding something right on right between the sub and the Stubbs Hall. Anyway, just now, I said, oh boy, I hope that wasn't from the storm. So what I want now is just a little feedback on if you've had a chance to look at any of that material, and also to inform you that, yes, I'm gradually getting each of my 4 courses, actually 5 that I'm doing this semester. The Social Work 4021 is a course that I and Dr. Horn are helping Dr. Salisbury as she transitions to the president's office to make sure that all those students are getting their midterm and their evaluations done. That's something you can look forward to when you're in field. But all of those things combined have created an additional delay for me in trying to balance those. So remember what I've told you, that your quiz or your assignments will never be less than a week for you to complete, okay? So if it's not posted, your timeline ain't started yet, okay? And grade you only what we're able to grade you on. Another point that our dean, Peggy Lane, has said that we will be making sure that at least on Moodle, y'all know, where you stand in the course. And right now you don't. I understand that. So this weekend, been working again to try to get all that stuff caught up. Okay. So, so let's talk about, let me see here. By the way, I'm also going to give y'all an opportunity to attend the NASW Louisiana chapter meetings. Let me see here. There we go. Now I can see who all is on, and I can hold on. Share the screen so y'all can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you. Okay, where was I? I was saying something, drifted off, and then got distracted trying to get this set up for y'all.
A meeting with the National Social Work.
Yes, thank you, Jace. Yes, exactly. I received it. Sadly, I received it on my personal email, my Gmail account, and that's, I had to make sure to finally tell them, please send it to my JSU, my ULM account, because I don't often check that very often, because there's just so much to keep up with just on ULM, and I'm not really a big social media person. I don't know about y'all, but maybe it's a thing with my generation, not so much yours, I hope. I don't know. But in any case, I got on Twitter, and oh my goodness, that thing was addictive for me. I could not, I was wasting so much time on that. It was ridiculous. And I gave up Facebook a long time ago. So anyhow, actually, I've given it up 3 separate times. I'd get on, set up an account, and get out of it, because it just disturbed me. It just looked so fake with everybody putting up all this wonderful stuff. And nobody has any problems. It just bothered me. Plus privacy concerns. But anyhow, the NASW Louisiana chapter, every state has a chapter of the national organization, and they all feed into one another, right? And so there was an encouragement for students to join, of course, even though our chapter lead president for this region was admonishing students, oh, it's only $60, but even $60 can be challenging for students, at least as I recall being a student. So especially in my undergraduate, I can recall not being a member until I was actually employed full time. But in any case, it's still $60, which is cheaper than, almost $200 for practitioners who are working full time. But in any case, I would like y'all to participate in the meetings. That doesn't cost you anything. And so that will be a notice you'll receive for extra credit for this class. For our field students, it'll be required, but a lot of good input from practitioners from our area. A lot of good information about different resources that are available to you. things you can learn about different fields of practice. So I want to make that available to y'all. So look forward to that. There's only 2 remaining opportunities, April and May 4th, I think it is. It's always the first Tuesday of every month. So look forward to that. The reason I'm mentioning it is because it was just on last night. And interestingly, had a few shifting things on my Zoom, I guess, as a result of that. I don't know. It's very weird. But oh, wait, they're all back in order now. Cameron was on and I couldn't find my mute video on there. Okay. All right, so let's talk just a minute about this cross-cultural assignment and what your information has been, not your information, your experience has been so far, if any of you have attempted. And I realize that we just talked about it Monday. It's only been 2 days, so if you haven't looked at it, that's quite okay. If you have any questions, now is a good time to ask. I have allowed classes like yesterday, the intro class and the child abuse class that I teach on Tuesday, Thursday. I allowed them to not meet for class so that I could use that time to get their quizzes posted. And I'm going to do that for you Friday too, just to be fair for all of my students and in every class, though I'm hoping, praying that I get it posted for you so that, you know, we can maybe still have that included in your midterm calculations. If not, that's the way it rolls, right? You don't have to worry about it if you don't have at least a week to complete. Okay, everybody got it? Nods. Okay, I'm looking over at my other screen to see all of the nods. All I see are 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like I only see 4 faces. So I hope y'all are there. Be sure you sign in and that you and sign in on the chat. Remember, just write your name. That's all you have to do. And then write your name again when we sign off for the class. Okay. So let's look at this. No, wait, that's the one we did already. Oh, Lord. Hold on. Oh, no. There it is. Okay, I found an excellent document for you. And I want to make sure you see this. This is what I was attempting to describe on Monday. And this diagram of all of the different symbols that you can use, you know, I expect you to look through these as you're doing your own. You're just doing a brief one because this is a way for you to become familiar with doing a genogram. We're actually going to do a variation of this. It's called an eco map, where you will look at various social institutions that impact a non-dominant client, right? So you can use whatever of these you choose to use. Typically, the ones that I always end up using are just these right here that indicate relationships, and generally the disrupted relationship or estranged relationships, meaning that, say, a parent and child haven't talked to each other for 15 years. That's definitely distant or estranged. Same thing. Something that's an active relationship but hostile, where there's physical abuse. And generally, I may make a note, because personally, remembering all of these, you'd have to have the guide with you to do it exactly right, right? So do your best and use the ones that make the most sense. But what I really want to look at is this right here, because as I was trying to describe, okay, you see this right here? Y'all see that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Great, thank you. All right. Okay, this is what I was trying to describe with my case, and did a deplorable job, I felt. I just didn't feel good about trying to describe it. And you need to really see it, right? right? I'm trying to look over here and look at y'all, but okay, I'll put you here. So, and I don't dare try to move the screens right now, okay? So, so let's think about this. Here it is where they started with, you'll see, you would be down here as a sibling, and then you would show any other siblings you have. But now you start with you put yourself on there, and then you put your parents, right? Okay. So when you put your parents, then you're going to, right here, you see that line right there? I wish the arrow would stay. You see it? Where Judy is and where Ed is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hold on a minute. That's not the one I used. I'm so sorry. Yeah, because I think I gave you a little description about this. If you may not have read it yet. I'm sorry. Look, I even tell you in the description where you see this on the assignment instructions about looking at number 4. I apologize. So y'all with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so wrong diagram. Let's look at this one. Okay. And let's see what we can tell from this. It's also much simpler than this other one. So sorry about that. I just had a momentary lapse. Okay. All right. So here we've got a parent and a child, right? This could be y'all. And so here we've got a parent, 50-year-old. Here's a parent, 40-year-old. And this shows that the two of them, you see those lines right there, had a child together, this 2-year-old. Now, what's interesting about this case is this person, the wife in this case, has been married 4 times. You see that? You draw those lines out there. Okay. It gives the date that she was married, divorced, married, divorced, married, 95, divorced the third one in 97, married in 99, divorced in 01. Her marriages tend not to last very long. You noticing that? Okay. She had no
Yes,
children
ma'am.
from the first 2 or the 4th marriage, but she did have one with this one right here. You see that? She had a 10-year-old. This couple share custody of this 2 and 10-year-old. One is their biological, one is their that they're sharing custody, but it is we can assume they're sharing custody, but it is the child of the mother, not this guy that she's married for the 5th time. Now notice over here, this guy too, he tends to not stay in marriages very long either. And he's had 4 relationships, 4 marriages. And you see again, the married, divorced. You see in that? Okay. And they do not have continued interaction with these partners. Okay. And this guy with 1, 2, 3 of his marriages he's had 4 children of his own, biological children. Now, with what I've given you as example over here of looking at her, can you tell me where these children, where their mothers are? Which marriage, 1, 2, 3, or 4, do these children belong to? Can you tell that?
2 and 4.
2 and 4, correct, exactly right. Who said that? I know your voice. Cheris, okay. Yeah.
Oh, it was Otisha.
Otisha, I'm sorry, Otisha, okay. So yeah, exactly right, Otisha, yes, 2 and 4. So his second marriage yielded 2 children. They're young adults, right? And it yielded this child right here, who is the same age as hers, give or take a year, right? So they're in the same ballpark age range, right? Now, this dotted line shows the immediate family system, the family system that you might be working with, say, if this couple came in for counseling, right? So if this couple came in for counseling, what can you observe from this stuff over here? Now, remember, these are all, what does this mean? Do they have any continued relationship with their ex-partners, ex-marriages?
No, ma'am.
They do not, because it's severed. That's what this means. Okay, let's go back up and look to double check, which is what I would do. And I'm doing now to make sure. Okay, so here's the first page. We're going to look, scroll down and say, okay, where is that? Where is that? Where is that that shows that this is distant relationship between individual partners, but in our case, we're showing the outline of the actual family system that we're working with, okay? So
It
let's, it
was on like the second page.
was on the second page. Okay, here's the first page. Yeah, divorce. Oh, now see, we're checking ourselves. Does this mean they necessarily don't have contact with them, or just that they're divorced?
Just that they're divorced.
Just that they're divorced. So if we were expecting that there's distance, we would also expect, or would rather see, one of these symbols that suggest a distant or hostile relationship. But we don't see that, right? Remember that hostile relationship here? Right here? We might expect that to be seen here instead of what I originally said, since we verified this, as simply divorced. We don't know what the nature of that relationship is now, right? Because we verified that. So if we're looking at this family system right here, and we're seeing this as an outline, this outline of the immediate family system does not suggest distance. That distance one with the dotted line is between persons. Okay. Now it could be that we would see, you know, a squiggle, the dotted line here if they were distant, as I originally said, with each of those partners, right? Okay. All right, so now original question. So now we're clear. We got our symbols clear. What can you assume about this family system? We know they've been married at least 2 years, right? Because they were married in 2002, and here you've got, oh wait, they've been married at least 1 year, because the child, the 2-year-old, was born in 2003. So 1 year later. Yeah, they would have had that child within that marriage, right? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And why would we say that?
Because it doesn't show that they're separated.
Because
It's an ongoing marriage.
separated? Or can you recognize my mistake in what I was saying? Because I was suggesting that maybe this child was born before they got married. I had these backwards. What's a correct assessment here about that? Can this child have been born after they were married?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, because it takes, 9-10 months to have a child. So exactly right. So we can't conclude, and we have to be careful about biases. I just demonstrated, actually, by misreading this, a biased conclusion. You see that? You have to be prepared to call those things out for yourself as well as for your colleagues too, right? And even though I'm your instructor, I would expect you to be able to do that when we're looking at these. If you have questions as I'm going through stuff, I'm not perfect, right? So been around a long time, but I'm not perfect. So here we go. They were married in 2002. The next year they have a child. Is that something that we can back up and look at in these other relationships? Like, for example, this guy married in 81. Within the first year, he has this 23-year-old. And the next year, wow, he has this other one, 21-year-old. He waited 2 years after getting married to have this child here. Well, what about her? Well, this is interesting. Let's look at this. This child is from this marriage in 95, and this child was born in 95. Was born in 95. Okay. And that maybe this is what I had in the back of my mind. So what was going on here? What could we speculate it was going on here? She was married in 95 and had her child that's 10 years old in 95.
Maybe the child was born and then they got married because of the child.
It could be, right? Yes. Mhm. Are those the best circumstances under which to get married, typically?
I mean, back then it would have been like back in the days, it would have been, but today, like, it's different. Like,
That's right. That's right. So we would have to, even though we might see that, and someone in my generation would see that and say, that might be worth exploring to see if there was any kind of conflict that might have contributed to an early divorce lasting only 2 years. But in your generation, because times change, y'all would not necessarily think about that, right? That's not good or bad. It's just a generational difference. If, though, in your conversation with her to understand their age ranges, and this was, let's see, we're looking at this today. And if we're looking at this today, for most of y'all, they may come from a generation where they were raised by people like me. Okay. So even though I don't have a 50-year-old, mine are all in their 30s, but still, these could potentially be baby boomer generations, or the Generation X potentially by the time we're looking at this today. Because there are a lot of baby boomers that are a lot older than me, because it goes from 49 to, wait, I think that's right. Might be from 45 to 65. I think that's it. So I'm right in the middle of that group. But we're all older. We're all retirement ages. So we would definitely look at that, because back in the day, that's exactly right. We would look at that and say that could be a source. So if we were going to counsel this couple who are struggling perhaps with their management of their children, what kinds of things could contribute to a potential conflicts in management of their children? Can you, yes, speculate?
What do you mean difference in conflict management? Like dealing with problems with the children because of like age gaps, or?
Okay, have the couple seeing you perhaps because they're having problems with their relationship, or problems, and that problems with their relationship may be in how they manage children differently, and it creates conflict in their relationship and in managing their children. Does that help?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I say it better? Okay. All right. So can you go from there to speculate?
I mean, she said it'll probably be the age difference. The age
Yes,
gap.
because yes, I was looking for that. 10 years difference. Exactly right. So, this guy is like the beginning of Gen X. This one is in the middle of Gen X. So these persons, could have parents who are baby boomers and raised them up, and he's coming from, this. Maybe he's, I don't know. I don't know. So maybe he's having a midlife crisis or something. I don't know. Maybe that's what's contributed to his marriage disruptions. Who knows? But it would be something to be aware of, because we know that that's something that can happen in middle age. And middle age usually has onset, we say, in Human Behavior 1, when you talk about development, what age do we typically see, quote, midlife crises?
Middle 40s.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's about middle 40s when you start realizing, wow, I've been doing this job for that long, and oh my God, this may be my last chance for whatever. And so there are manifestations of behavior that may not be seen up to that point, right? So what else could we might conclude or speculate? What can this diagram tell you as potential issues to be aware of? We talked about generational differences, possibly between them. This guy was born in 55. That definitely makes him a baby boomer, but he could still have, well, no, he couldn't have one either. Who knows when this was made? I'm not sure. It's not made in 2021 or 2020, I know for sure. Okay, so let's clarify. So this guy would definitely be a baby boomer. He would definitely have that expectation of, married, to have children, because, apparently all of his were within his marriage, and here as well. She, however, is at the end of the baby boomer generation, at the cusp then between Gen X and baby boomer, right? So she might be more influenced by the norms that y'all are experiencing and living under. And these would definitely be persons that could be your parents. These would be your grandparents, right? Baby boomers, your grandparents. Gen Xers are your parents for y'all, for most of y'all, typically. So you have some generational differences going on there. Would this group, say this guy is a real, contemporary guy. He keeps up with current trends. He doesn't see himself as the typical baby boomer. He's enlightened, or as I've heard common language described as woke, or living 100, or lit, or whatever term you want to use to mean enlightened. He feels like he's enlightened with the days and times that he's living in currently. And so he does not have issues with these multiple relationships. Maybe he's like that. Would that be worth exploring, some of their attitudes about marriage, partnerships, child rearing?
Absolutely, because no matter who you're counseling, they're all going to have different attitudes. So you have to figure out what they're like in order to tailor best to them, like what they need.
Exactly right. And that's a good point, Skyla, because what these diagrams can help you with difficult cases, for example, is to kind of use your knowledge about human behavior, like your psychology courses and your biology courses. Believe it or not, there are, and I'm sure you probably talked about some of these too with the developmental theories that you address in HBSE 1, that there are biological issues that drive behavior too, obviously. We now know, which we did not know when I first started teaching my first course in, I think as an MSW. I didn't even have a license yet, though I was working on it then. But as a new MSW, I got to teach a course in 80, 1996, way before many of y'all were even born or thought of. So when I taught that course, child abuse, that was the only course I taught was adjunct. And so I had to say that schizophrenia was not biological. Today, these 40 years later, we know that that is not, almost 40 years later, is not true. Now we know that there are some biological markers for certain forms of serious mental illness, SMIs. So an SMI like schizophrenia, and now we think possibly bipolar, some forms of bipolar disorders, possibly even some new research is looking at antisocial behavior disorders, that there may be some biological markers there for how those SMIs evolve, combined with the environment. Remember that nature times nurture, and then you put those together and you times that again with nature times nurture. So you can't separate, and the whole point of that is that you can't separate out the influences of the environment nor biology, because we don't know everything there is to know about the degree of those influences. All we know is that they are inextricably linked.
Dr. Savage, I have a theory that anxiety disorders could be both nature and nurture. Would that be accurate to you?
I can't say I'm aware of that, but I would not be surprised, because a lot of our mental disorders, personality disorders, serious mental illnesses that developmental psychologists are really they're the area where this research is being conducted, are really looking at those kinds of things. And all of that started in the late 70s with Chess and Thomas, who began the first, really recognized studies about temperament. And with temperament, they identified 9 different temperaments that boil down to the big 3, some developmental psychologists say, and others, developmental psychologists say the big 5. And basically it boils down to emotionality, adaptability, sensitivity, and intensity. So the EASI that I'm familiar with. And also what I studied in my dissertation for my PhD, because I was interested in, how it is I can have 3 children a year apart, and every one of them seemed to have completely different personalities. One child looks like she has just immense problems with anxiety, and the other one doesn't. And then another one that's completely laid back, and that's where I discovered the research going on with developmental psychology. But so I would not be at all surprised, Jace, that anxiety does have both determinants. Depression too, especially major depression as a serious mental illness. So that's where the whole category or genre of antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications has evolved over the last, 70 years. And the most recent with SSRIs, serotonin, SNRIs, serotonin neurotransmitter reuptake inhibitors, and serotonin selective reuptake inhibitors. SSRIs came out, SNRIs came out second. And SSRIs are things like Paxil and, those kinds of things. And SNRIs, I'm not as familiar with. So I don't know if you've taken an SNRI or are familiar with that, you can know. But yeah, I agree. Interesting question, Jason. Okay, so just the point of this is to demonstrate to y'all how, how using mapping strategies when you are seeking to understand not only an individual as the genogram addresses, but also communities. You're going to combine both of those in the cross-cultural project. What you're going to do is find the non-dominant person, and then you are going to identify not just their family, a little bit of their family, but you're going to place them within the context of an eco map that comes next, where you will identify all of the different social institutions that they've been involved in. Okay. And that's what you will be then presenting to the class, is your eco map and the things that you learned about the social institutions and how they impacted your non-dominant interviewee. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Going once, going twice. Because since I always keep you, I don't know what it is about Zoom that makes me just run that clock out. But since I always keep you, I'm not going to keep you overtime today. I'm a little stressed out. I got to figure out how to conduct a social work faculty meeting for the first time, filling in for Dr. Salisbury for the rest of this semester. So I don't mind letting you go early and then using that Friday time to, if I don't get it posted by then, your quiz, I will get it posted by Friday. Okay. My hope. Questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So y'all have a clear idea of how you want to do your genogram?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, starting with the genogram, because most of y'all responded that you had not done one before. So I don't know. How many of you have had practice one already? 3015. Anybody?
I have, but it was way simpler than this.
It was simpler than this. You did a genogram in that course, Letitia?
I did one way in high school. We had to do one.
Oh, in high school. Okay. But you didn't do one in practice too?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, that's not here nor there. I mean, there are lots of strategies for working with clients. I never use this format consistently, but knowing that it's in your toolbox and being aware of it sometimes can really help. Like in the case I was attempting to tell you all about Monday with the client I was working with her child who was had a SOCW onset at 4 years old. So yeah, it really helped with her because she was similar to this. She had lots of, relationships, practically none of them with marriages. It was a mess, and it was easy for her to understand the influence of her chaotic environment. And what I just said straight out to her, but helped her realize that having multiple partners likely contributed to exacerbated symptoms for her child, such that he had so many placements, by the time he's 6 years old. And what we ended up doing with her, by the way, was making sure she got into disability services. Like he already had a special ed plan, but making sure that we expanded that and networked with Families Helping Families, which they had not, because that case was, here in Monroe. Am I thinking right? Yes, it was, because I remember where I went to. Okay, but anyway, so when I did that with her, I connected her with Families Helping Families and got her someone who could help her through getting voc rehab and Medicaid to reimburse for childcare attendance, to try to get him out of institutions into settings where he would be able to function as normal as possible. So it was quite an interesting case. So anywho, all right, last chance. Better ask a question before I either turn it off or keep talking. So you got it. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Thank you, Atisha. So
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
start calling on everybody to respond. So it makes me nervous that y'all aren't really here. You're out, you're maybe going back to bed or eating breakfast or just on mute, no screen.
I'm here.
Makes us
Miss Savage.
paranoid.
Dr. Savage, I'm just kind of sick.
Oh, well, that's understandable. Yeah. But you know, when everybody's off, it makes you paranoid as an instructor. I'll just say that. Kind of like I say to my classes when they're in person, sometimes I'll say, you know, it can make you a little paranoid standing in front of a class every day. You know, you don't think we're paranoid, but yeah, we're looking at you thinking, okay, are they really getting this? Are they really? Well, different ones of us, you know, get, that's not me so much. I don't get ticked off or PO'd. I get anxious that I'm not getting through or that you're not getting the material, not invested and paying attention to get what you need if you're in this major. Oh, one quick thing. For those of y'all who are still on, I'm gonna send an announcement out to all of my classes. If you are advising, this class schedule is gonna come out pretty soon. And when you schedule for advising, you need to advise with me or Dr. White right now until you see that message from me, okay? So be aware of that. Dr. Salisbury may be able to assist if in some cases, but she really is, she's pretty being drawn right into the position that she's going to in the president's office, which we're very excited about with diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm trying not to burden her and be aware that I'm going to be present here more often. So more than just the 3 days a week during that time. But you'll get an announcement about that, just to pre-notice, okay?
Yes,
All right.
ma'am. Thank you.
All righty. Okay, well, I'm off unless anybody wants to, I'll give you about 5 minutes to log off and then I'm logging off.
Hey, Dr. Savage, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the assignment too about the non-dominant subject selection, does it have to be like someone within our family or is it anyone?
It can be someone in your family. I mean, it definitely can be someone in your family. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be?
Does it have to be someone in your family? No.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to make this hard on you. You know, I want you to be able to access somebody who's accessible to you.
Yeah. My family's pretty straightforward. We don't really have any.
Okay.
Anything.
All righty.
All right. That was all.
Okay, great. Good question.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Dr. Savage.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just have a question. So with our genogram, my father does not like talk to his mother and like he won't tell me anything about her. So like I put the physical abuse like symbol, but like I don't know her age. I don't like know when she was born.
Okay. So did she, yeah, you don't, if you don't know that and you show the connection where it's, where they're disconnected, let's see, distant, right there. You could do the distant and the physical abuse, and you don't have to, if you don't have the information, you can't put it down.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
before I just turned it in blank, like
Right.
that part blank.
Yeah. Yeah. So your father has told you about, he was physically abused, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so sad. Okay. Yeah, just do it like that, that it's distant and the physical abuse. You could put both those lines.
Yes, ma'am.
Okie doke.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.